Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of the Novelty Show. My name is Lainey from gingerreadslainey, obviously, because you guys are on my channel. But today we are talking about goal setting, realistic goals, and how to maintain them and achieve them. So I'll let the other two girls introduce themselves.
I'll go. I'm Alexa Dunn of Alexa Dunn is my channel. I am a traditionally published author. My first book, Brightly Burning, came out last May, and my next one, The Stars We Steal, comes out in February 2020. So long, so far. And yeah, that's me.
And I'm Kat. My channel is Catty-tastic. I make videos about books and writing, and I am very, very bad at sticking to goals. So this should be an discussion.
Well, I first wanted to start out with what are our 2019 goals, and if we have any really big ones that we want or to achieve, or some kind of smaller ones. If Alexa, you want to start first?
Sure. I want to write at least one book this year. I'm between books and between contracts, so I want to work on a few projects for fun. Honestly, if I could write 2 books, that would be amazing, but well, we're going to talk about realistic goals in a minute. I just want to move forward. Like, I want to write a project, a new idea, because my published books are standalones. So I have to move on to something. I want to read. I was in such a bad reading slump in 2018. So reading is actually a huge goal for me this year. Reading for pleasure again, making a dent in my TBR, and seeing my friends more. It's a self-care year for me. I do have writing goals, but a lot of it is just like see friends, read books. Write for fun.
That's nice, though. My goals, as bad as I am at sticking to goals, I love setting goals. Like, I set goals every month, every week, every day. I'm obsessed with setting goals. So I have quite a few, but they're kind of just big, broad things. Like, I want to finish my revisions on the book I'm working on and query it. I like to do NaNoWriMo every year. I haven't done it every single year, but I like to squeeze that in so I get a draft in. But yeah, my main goal for this year is just finishing revisions and querying. And I'm hoping to do that in the first half of the year. So we'll come up with more goals for the second half.
Yeah, I actually wanted to put NaNoWriMo as my goal again for this year, but I just don't know where I'm going to be at in November. So I think I need to wait until maybe the summer, and then I'll be like, could this be a realistic goal for me? But I have 4 goals. My first one is to query. That's my biggest goal for the year. And the second one is to revise my other YA fantasy novel, Sharp Hollows. It's not been revised since I rewrote it last year. My third goal is to finish the first draft of my NaNoWriMo project from last year. I'm about 30,000 words into it, so I feel like that's going to be before spring. I'll probably finish that first draft. And my last goal is to revise my third draft of Pair of Prides, which I'm doing right now. So I know I'm going to be finishing that too in the first few months of the year.
Yeah, so many projects.
I know. I've never had so many projects before. So I'm really loving it, but I'm also juggling is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we all have realistic goals, which I think is our theme for this live show. And I want to talk about kind of the importance of why we need to have goals that we can control. Because I know in 2017, one of my goals was to get an agent. And obviously I didn't get it. So I didn't get that goal. But why do you guys think, I feel like newbie writers have those kind of goals that are so that you think that you can get, but you probably won't achieve in a year?
Well, this happens even with non-newbie writers, I will say.
Yeah.
I've seen published writers post their goals on Twitter. I'm danger zone, because now we all see with just very lofty goals that are out of their control, like sell X number of books. I'm you can't control that. Don't post that publicly. And that's the thing. I think it's just the potential for disappointment and feeling like a failure is just so high when you do things that depend on other people and market conditions and timing and just taste. But you're not a failure if you don't achieve a goal that's out of your control. But I think those are often the goals we want the most. So it's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing for me to kind of like learn and understand, because I was also setting goals like I want to get an agent this year. Like I want to be published.
We've all done it. Yeah.
Everyone does it. And I had to kind of realize like if I set a goal that depends on another person, like you just don't have control over it. Like even if I do absolutely everything within my power, I still might fail that goal, and it's not my fault. But you still feel that failure as a punishment, even though you didn't do anything wrong except have like misplaced expectations. So yeah, that was something that I definitely did a lot more in the beginning, and now I've kind of come to a place where I only set goals that are dependent only on me. But you know, that I have also been kind of not pursuing publication as seriously the last few years. So now I'm in a position where setting a goal of getting an agent like is something that's on my mind. I don't want to set that goal because I can't control it.
Yeah, I think it's like still kind of a little bit of a goal, at least for like, I mean, I'm planning to query this year. So what, like, I'm hoping to get out of that, get an agent, hopefully. But I feel like it's more of like, I'll treat that as a dream, because like, that's okay. But like, I'm still like, well, I want to query. So obviously I want an agent this year, but that's something I can't control. So at least I can concentrate on sending this amount of queries when I'm ready and getting all that ready. But I mean, it's hard because like, yeah, I do want an agent, but I can't control that.
Well, and I think wish goals are fine. And they could be like, maybe like you make a section of your goals. It's like dreams, wishes, but it's a matter of breaking down those kinds of goals, the ones that are out of your control. Like you said, like you turn the goal into, I will send X number of queries by X date. That becomes the goal. And then walking back from that, it becomes, okay, to do that, I have to revise by X date. And then walking that back, it's like, well, what steps do I have to take to revise? So I think it's always a matter of breaking down those big goals into digestible chunks that you can actually achieve.
And also, like, it's fine to have those dreams and those kind of reach hopes, but you want to put your focus and your effort on what you can control. And like in the situation of querying, like obviously we want to get agents out of it. That's why you query. But like we should be putting our focus on making the book the best it can be and making our query the best it could be. And you know, having friends read the query and give us feedback, and like just making sure that we're querying as best as we can to give ourselves the best chance to get the agent.
Yeah, and I think another huge thing with, especially in publishing, us with that out of control kind of goals is also age-based goals, which I think we all kind of fall victim to, especially young people, because publishing, you always see like it rewards younger people. So the older I get, I'm like, did I already miss my chance? Even though I know I didn't, but it's hard.
I'm old, okay?
It's hard to see that when you see like these 21-year-olds, these 22-year-olds getting these like big flashy 6-figure deals. And I'm just like, man, I was so not ready to write back then. Like I was still in college. And
yeah, we should actually do a whole episode on like youth and publishing, because I actually like we won't go into this tangent on goals, but there's a flip side to being really successful when you're really young. There are actually negatives and downsides. We can have a whole holistic conversation about the pros and cons. But no, age-based goals are the devil. They're so toxic. And I've seen people have breakdowns on Twitter because they're like, I'm approaching my 30th birthday and I don't have an agent or a book deal. And I'm like, well, I didn't get a book deal till I was 33. Like, you're going to do fine, kiddo. Like, and I think that's still really young to get a book deal, but not anymore with YA, I guess.
A lot of it is, I feel like it's not just in writing world, but like online in general, youth is so prized, and people in their 20s feel like they've already shot their shot and they're done. Like
I blame the millennial generation, my generation.
Like if you haven't made it by the time you're 25, you might as well die, right? Like,
dude, when I hit 25, it was very depressing.
Oh no.
Same, because when I was 20, I had all these goals and expectations for what my going to look like at 25. Like I was going to be married and have kids and have 2 books on the shelves, and none of that is the case.
Nope.
Wow. I had very different expectations for myself. Okay, I think it's because I'm an old millennial though, because we were looking at Gen Z Xers, and it was not normal for 22-year-olds to, or even, gosh, we've seen 13-year-olds start their own companies and like nonprofits. And I'm like, what is happening? That wasn't a pressure I felt. But then younger millennials make me feel very behind. So I'm so sorry, guys. God, you felt behind at 25. Kill me.
Yeah. Well, like
these goals are bad.
Yeah, it's hard because like, I mean, it's hard now because like, okay, I'm 27. So I'm like, where do I see myself in 3 years? I hope to have a book out or have the steps of having a deal, but like, that's not a realistic goal to have because I have no idea what the next 3 years are going to bring, but it's hard not to look forward and kind of envision what I'm going to look like in 3 years. So
I think every
it's like a double-edged sword.
You, instead of focusing on book deals, just focus on toner, skincare. That like those are the goals to focus on. I'm kidding, except buy toner. It's very important. It is. Number 1 aging tip: start using toner as soon as possible.
It's like even like moisturizer on my neck. I'm like, oh, I gotta do it on my neck.
No. Everyone should. Moisturizer is essential. Toner can come in when you're a little older, but yeah, I have feelings.
So let's pretend we all made our goals and everything. So how do we maintain them? What are our steps that we take to stay on track and achieve the goals that we set out at the beginning of the year?
I mean, for the most part, I like to work backwards. So I'll start with like when I want to be done. Like I want to be finished with my revisions by March. So I'll kind of figure out like about what pace I need to be working at for the next 9 weeks to be able to finish my revisions by March, and just kind of work backwards. And then the real trick is making myself stick to like the daily things that I've decided I need to be doing.
Well, new for me in the age of YouTube, vlogging actually really helps. I know you do this too, Kat, and you're doing it too. We're all doing it. Yeah. We're vlogging the thing we claim we're doing in 2019. So just vlogging about writing a YA thriller, I'm like, well, now I have to write it. Like I have to. It's like I'm bound. But even then, like, so for me, writing a book is one of my goals. I think that's a really common one for anyone watching this channel. Writing something, finishing something, or revising something. So for me, writing, I break into a refill the well section that goes into brainstorming and research. Like these all kind of like blend together. And then for me, it's a matter of just picking a day, kicking myself in the butt and just starting to write no matter what. So it's I don't do daily though, Kat. I get too freaked out by my micro level.
I can't do daily. I have to have weekly goals.
Weekly, I think, or monthly even. Like by the end of the month, I need to be doing X.
I got to do weekly, or else I procrastinate the first like 3 weeks of the month and do everything in the last week.
I did daily last year, and like now I'm kind of switching to weekly goals. Also, like the way my planner is set up, it kind of helps with weekly goals, which I feel like my planner last year helped with daily goals.
I was going to ask, how the heck do you track daily goals? So what's your planner? Let's talk about planners. I feel like this is
I actually have mine open because I was going to reference it.
I do have mine handy as well.
Hold on. I have mine too.
Well, last year, last year, what I did was like on like the daily, at least mine's like a weekly spread, but it like breaks down like the days, and I'd put like write 2,000 words. That's like average for me. 2,000 words kind of like works for me.
Oh God, I hate you. How dare. That's such a good word count.
Like, yeah, but like it's like when you're hungry, it's just like I needed to do it. And like my mindset's always like tunnel vision. I need to finish this. I need to do it. I need to get this book deal before I'm 30.
Lainey, you're killing me.
I know.
Well, and I actually think it is important to say, as we discuss all of this, we're going to say all these pragmatic, smart things about goal setting. We break every single rule. We all have. It's just like when we said, don't query too soon. We all did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
So they're both
human.
absolving you of your sins and trying to put you on the path.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. But like this year, I started doing weekly goals. So right now, like every weekly goal, at least I've been able to keep track of it so far, has been edit 3 chapters in pair of rides. And that's been easy for me because I tend to like do a lot of my work on the weekend and I can like get through like 3 a day on a weekend. But I wanted to start out something that I know I can easily achieve. So 3 chapters a week is easy for me right now. But I want to like obviously in the next few weeks after I make this like more of a habit to increase that to like maybe 5 chapters a week. But I think starting low helps so you don't feel bad when you don't hit the goal.
Yeah.
And also a lot of time, the hardest part to like making yourself sit down and work is starting. And if your goal is like, write 5,000 words, you're not even going to want to start because that's very intimidating. So you got to just set, like sometimes setting really low daily goals, like write 250 words in a day is much more manageable because like that isn't intimidating. I can sit down and do that. But trying to start when your goal is like so big is, you got to like overcome that first. So sometimes really small goals help a lot.
Or even you can change the metric of the goal as well. So maybe it's not a specific word count per day. It's just writing every day, period.
Or time of like writing for 1
hour. 1 hour, exactly. Or like you're doing, Lainey, it's X number of chapters, which I find that kind of metric works super well for revision. Either a page count or a scene count or a chapter count. It's breaking it down so it works. But seriously, what kind of planners do you guys use? I'm super curious. Mine, which I don't use enough because I can't outline, so I don't write down my goals. But I do use a passion planner because I use it to track my word counts. So that's mine.
Oh yeah, the stars. That's right.
I love my stars. I get to start a new one soon. I still haven't started my book. Whatever.
Like. Ooh, that's what mine looks like right now. I got the stars. And then these are like books I read. So
is that a passion planner too?
No, it's a Clever Fox planner.
Clever Fox. Okay, I'm just so curious about the brands that we use and what we like.
Yeah.
So all right, Clever Fox.
They sent it to me. I showed it in my last video, so I like it so far. And so it was a good review for it.
Yeah, as far as printed planners go, that one actually looks really cool. But I might not be any help to you, Alexa, because I bullet journal. So I start with and like do it all myself.
That's too much work. I can't. I just can't.
I understand that perspective. Like that was what I thought at first. I was like, you guys know they make planners, right? Like you don't.
But I get why people love it. I just know myself. I'll give up.
Like I'm not very artistic, so like mine is really just like plain and simple.
Oh, but that's nice.
Yeah,
that's a cute spread.
I'm still too lazy to do that though.
A little weekly spread, and then I break down like my writing goals, my reading goals, and my filming goals kind of separately. I have a little habit tracker and a little calendar. But what was I gonna say? What I like about bullet journaling is like. It becomes an activity. It's not like I don't view it as like, oh, I gotta write this whole planner before I do it. Like it's nice to put on an audiobook and just kind of chill and like draw out the lines and stuff.
See, I see that and I go, could I pay someone to make me a bullet journal? So that's not for me.
Yeah, well, like this one has like bullet journal stuff in the back.
Yeah, that's cool.
I might have to check that out, Lainey. Because I love my passion planner, but I'm definitely open to different kinds.
Yeah, I really like this one so far. So like I have like my books read over here. So that's I'm attempting to do like creative things, but I'm not there yet with like the weekly spreads. So I need that. But
love about like the bullet journal pages is you can do anything that you want. Like this is I have like a quarterly writing goal thing right here where I have like it's divided into 4 sections and I have like my writing goals. So I have like revisions and beta and query up here. And yeah, so I just like how you can do like different steps.
Well, do we want to talk more about timing? Because that actually brings up a really interesting thing. Meaning, we've talked about daily goals, weekly, even monthly. But I think a phenomenon that happens a lot is everyone starts out strong in January, and we've all failed by the end of the first quarter. So let's talk about strategically planning your goals by time stretched over a year so that they're more achievable. Because I think that's also really important.
I mean, honestly, the planner is what keeps me on track because I like the idea of like, ooh, it's next month. Got to write out all my things and get my stickers ready. And that's what helped me a lot, especially with like, I mean, you do the stickers too, Alexa. I'm like so excited
Only
to
for
hit
writing?
that. Yeah, but same. Yeah. I'm so excited to hit that 1,000 word count so I can put a sticker on the day. It's like basic, I don't know, excitement. I feel like a little kid, but like it helps so much keeping on track.
It's
And
like
then
the video game method where it's like objective, fill objective, and you feel good about it.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I like that you do quarterly, Kat. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah.
I didn't think of them as quarters, but I did kind of do that for my goals this year as well. I have some very specific Q3 goals, summer goals.
Quarterly is new for me. I don't generally do quarterly because I can't plan that far in the future. That's why I like to stick to like weekly and monthly usually. But the reason I did quarterly this time, and as you saw when I held it up, like the whole middle part is blank because I don't have quarterly goals for like summer yet. So quarterly is a new thing that I'm kind of trying out. But mostly I like to do monthly. Like starting a new month feels to me like almost like that January resolution. I'm like, it's a new month. I can set new goals. Like it's that fresh start at the beginning of every month. And actually, since I've been bullet journaling and like staying on top of my weekly spreads, I start feeling like that every week. Like every week is like a new week to get stuff done. And it helps me like not lose entire weeks to Netflix and nothing.
Yeah, I actually use Netflix as like a reward system. Like one of my goals, like this next week goal is like I have to edit 3 chapters of Parasites and then I can watch Captain America Civil War because I'm trying to get through the Marvel movies. So like I can't watch that movie when I really want to watch until I finish what I'm actually supposed to be doing.
I love that.
So yeah,
Bribery.
that helps. Mm-hmm.
Well, it helps.
Or like I
But if that works for you, I have no
Yeah.
willpower, so if I like have a reward set aside, I'm just gonna go straight to it. Like just no one's stopping me. I'm just gonna watch it.
I feel bad if I do it because I'm like, God, you couldn't even do this, Lainey. Like you can't even just like do your 3 before you watch the movie. So it helps for me. But what you guys were saying about like the quarterly goals, so like I don't know, the 4 goals that I said earlier in the video, they're all like yearly goals. So for me, here, I'll get it out because like on the opposite page of where I put my goals, I put like how I'm gonna get there. So I have like the main things and then like for querying, like what do I need to do so I can achieve that? So I break it down like I need to finish revising. I need to send it to my CPs and my mentor. I need to revise it again. And I also need to like ready my query materials. So like those will be broken down like in the month goals. So like my monthly goal for January is to finish the first act, rewriting the first act. So that like feeds into the overall finish. Well, I guess it feeds into both 2 of the goals that I have here, which is query and finish the 3rd draft. But breaking it down really helps me.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, breaking it down is absolutely necessary, especially when you have a goal like finish a draft or write a book. It's just so overwhelming. Like you really have to break it down into something digestible and not intimidating. Because intimidation can like stop you before you even get started.
And then I think it's really important once you have broken something down into composite parts that are generally achievable, feel like you've succeeded if you achieve any part of the goal. Because I think what gets away from us, like so often we'll say, I want to finish my book this year. I want to revise my book this year. I want to query it this year. I find that anytime I set a goal, it takes me 3 times as long as I thought it would to achieve it, first of all. And I think that too often we go, well, I failed. Like, let's say you didn't finish your book in a calendar year. yeah, but if you wrote 75% of it, I still feel like you hit the benchmarks to achieve that goal. It just pushed it into like the next year maybe. So I think it's important to go easy on yourself and to consider micro goals, essentially. To me, any progress is progress.
Yeah. And if you fail a goal, you can't let that defeat you. And like, that's something again of why I like to kind of have a restart every week. Because like if last week was bad, like fine, that was last week, I have a fresh start today. Like even if I'm 10,000 words behind because I didn't write last week, like I don't want to focus on how behind I am. I want to focus on what I need to do this day to not fall further behind, kind of situation.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments in the chat about using CPs to hold yourself accountable. And I do that all the time with my critique partner. We're constantly updating each other on what we're doing and seeing if we're on track. And she's like a whiz at Excel spreadsheets. So for my writing group, she has like this huge like spreadsheet with all our names on it and all our goals for each year, for the year, as well as breaking it down into each of the months. It's like an amazing worksheet. Like I can't believe she did it by herself. But yeah, but like, so we can see each other's goals and making sure that we're all staying on track. And you got to have a good CP that would like help you like accountable. So I got lucky.
Yeah, that's a bit like accountability really does help. Like again, with how we all do kind of like writing vlogs and accountability vlogs.
Yeah.
Having other people, like if you have a friend who you like just go to the coffee shop and you don't like talk, you just sit there and work together, kind of situation. Like the same way of people who have like buddies who they go to the gym with, like workout buddies, so they're not in it alone, which is a great way to do it unless your buddy is like yeah, playing hooky, like slacking off, and that will like drag you down as well.
Yeah, my caution is always, yes, use your CPs. I'm super jealous of that spreadsheet. But it's so easy for writing rhythms to not sync up. So I also say like use CPs for moral support, but like sometimes it can be dangerous if you're waiting for them to also write. Just like forge forward on your own path sometimes is what you need to do to get things done. Let's talk a bit about deadlines, because I actually think that's another helpful thing. Obviously, we've spoken about literally breaking down the goals by time, but I think deadlines help too, meaning saying, I'm going to finish before XYZ pitch contest, or I'm going to finish before XYZ mentoring program deadline, or just like, I don't know, June 30th, like pick a date. The very act of trying to hit a deadline, even if you don't make it, I think forces progress and can be very good for goals.
Yeah, I agree. I'm often quite bad with deadlines when they're self-imposed. Like for example, AMM author mentor match round 6, right, is coming. In the beginning of March. So since I was planning to, be done with revisions around then, I've made that my goals to finish with revisions so I can enter that. And that is a deadline that is out of my control. I'm not running the program.
But it's in my control.
It's happening during those dates, whether I want it to or not. So it becomes on me to like finish my manuscript by then. Whereas if I just had a goal for myself of like, yeah, March 15th, whatever, that's fine. I don't have that fire. I don't have that fuel that's like really pushing me to finish by March 15th, because nothing happens if I don't, unless I have AMM that I want to enter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think all of my goals, deadlines, I think I hit like 50% of them, but it's the ones that like I can't control are the ones that like, I have to do it. So I got to do it. So like when I entered Pitch Wars, I can't change that deadline. So it was either I had it or I didn't. Same with author mentor match. I think even if you don't end up submitting, maybe like having those as like, I need to finish it by then. I think that could really help with finishing a book, finishing your revision. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it.
No, and I mean, I definitely saw that. Meaning, I saw a lot of people where I could tell their goal had been to finish by pitch war submissions, but they didn't. But then they finished in time for AMM, and I'm like, my win. But like, meaning, you know, it just because you don't make one, you're still so much closer to finishing that you'll finish soon after that. So I like hard external deadlines, even if you don't make them. It doesn't make you a failure, and we should talk about failing goals because I don't believe in failure. You've still done something.
Yeah, I agree with that. As we get into the discussion about like failure, it's not a failure if your work, like if you don't think of it as a failure, like even though you didn't, hit the deadline in time to submit for whatever thing, like you're still making progress. Like that's still an achievement. And you can kind of reframe how you think about it a little bit. But yeah, a lot of goal setting and struggling with deadlines is just like mental gymnastics, like saying like this deadline is so important. If I don't hit it, I'll die. But then also holding the thought of it's not, I'm still a success even if I don't hit it kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah. And this is also great practice for you because when you get into publishing, they set deadlines. And I'll tell you, they're not always real, but sometimes they're real. So it's great. You get used to it.
Yeah, I think I always feel bad when I don't hit a goal. But that's just because I'm very goal oriented, I think. But it is really tough when you don't hit a goal. Because I remember last year when I was rewriting Sharp Hollows, like I said, like, hey, I'm going to finish by the end of Camp NaNoWriMo. Well, I didn't end up finishing until like the end of June. So I was like 2 months behind that goal. And that, I mean, silver linings, because that's what pushed me to enter Author Mentor Match because I didn't have time to revise for Pitch Wars anymore. But I mean, it still sucks because I'm like, I don't want to be writing this forever. Mostly because like I want to fast draft. I want to learn how to fast draft. And I just am like not someone who can fast draft very well.
I wish.
I'm really jealous. Alex from Patchwork Nerd, she's in the chat and like she was telling me how she fast drafts in like 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm like, how?
I love fast drafting. It can just be
you do it too.
Yeah, and it's fun. I wrote my first draft in 5 weeks for this current book that I'm working on. But granted, it was only a 50,000 word, very rough draft.
But still, that's like skeletons.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I can't.
Yeah, so wait, what were we talking about?
Fast drafting and
deadline, fast drafting.
Well, I know we were going to talk about like examples of goals that we could implement for like maybe someone who doesn't really know how to set goals yet or what's realistic. If you guys want to talk about that.
Yeah, maybe talk about them based on kind of writer stage, like what's gonna be useful when before you finished your first book versus once you've finished a book and you're looking for an agent versus maybe post book deal might help.
Yeah, definitely, because you have great knowledge on that.
Read. I just want to read books for fun again. That's all. That's my goal. Not being a horrible friend has become a goal. This is my life now.
And thinking about like different writer stages as well is before, when you're an aspiring author, you're not agented yet, and you're working on your first few manuscripts, your first manuscript, you have all the time in the world. I mean, you have like your own internal clock that says you're too old, you're gonna die, you gotta publish soon. But
right?
For the most part, you have all the time in the world, and then all of a sudden, after you sell your first book, suddenly you have to write book 2 on like a 9-month deadline or something like that, which changes the game completely. So yeah, Alexa, what was like the biggest way your goals changed pre-book deal and post-book deal?
Well, more of the goals are out of my control, or I should say that they're set for me.
Yeah.
like last year entering 2018, it was like, I must finish book 2. And then I was given the deadline and I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And also you're given goals in the sense that you have like book release dates. And so you have to create goals around promotion and marketing. So that changes. And honestly, so many of the goals just become about being better at communication, being better at not being flaky, because there's a lot to juggle. And you get more goals out of your control, like, gosh, I want to sell another book. I hope my career doesn't end. I don't know. So yeah, my goals have changed in the sense that it's almost easy to be like, well, my goal is to finish a project, but it's lower stakes before you're kind of in the rat race. Now it's higher stakes. It's like, I have to finish something someone will want to pay me money for. Okay. Yeah. That's the biggest change for me. I'm sure it's different for every writer, but that's been a change for me. Because I was never someone who rigidly stuck to goals before, to be perfectly honest. Just kind of floated through the year, whatever.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I definitely see that perspective. Like, your goals are just not in your control anymore. Like, you're on not just like your editor's deadline, but the publishing house's deadline. You know, if they need to move another book, that could end up having an effect on you. Like, there's so much out of your control.
Yeah, it's great. But that's why one of my goals this year is to write for fun, like to enjoy the process, because I loved my book too, but it was harder and less fun because I had a strict deadline. So yeah.
Well, okay, this kind of made me think of something I've been like trying to implement in myself, and it's like my manic, ambitious Slytherin side of my Ravenclaw house. But I've been like trying to structure my goals and like my work schedule, my writing work schedule, on like if I did have an agent / if I had a book deal. So like I try to write rigorously like I would if I was under like a contracted deadline.
That's
do
good.
try to, yeah, I mean, because it's like, I mean, hopefully, cross my fingers, I'll be able to do that one day. But especially when it comes to multiple projects, because I know that like sometimes you might be line editing while you're drafting like the next book you're under contract with or your whatever. So I'm like, so now I'm like trying this like beginning of the year at least to like work on 2 projects at once, just so that I can like get a feel of like how that's like.
I love that.
I think it helps that one of them is I'm drafting something, and then the other one is I'm revising something. And I don't think I could, at least now, I don't think I could be drafting 2 things at once or editing 2 things at once. I need the balance of this is crap, but I'm just going to keep writing it anyway. And then the other side is like, you need to do this because you need to send it to your mentor and your writing group and stuff. But I think that's been like helping me a little bit also because I do work full time. So it's like, I know eventually I'm going to have my day job still, and I'm going to have all these deadlines, hopefully, with an agent, with a book deal. So I'm like trying to get used to that kind of lifestyle now. But yeah.
I love that. I think that's really smart. And I'm not doing quite that, but in a similar way, just the deadline that I've set for myself for the book that I'm currently working on, I'm trying to go from first draft to revised draft like on my own in 6 months. Like I've set that as like, that's a nice standard goal.
That's very good timing for publishing.
Yeah, and that's like the kind of pace that I want to be on. If I want to be a career author who's putting out a book a year, like I want to be able to draft and revise on my own in 6 months, and then you do betas and editor revisions and like further work on it. But like on my own, I want to be able to write a book in 6 months. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to like freak people out because that is like very like I don't know, like
these were 201 goals, definitely. These are like you guys have been writing and been querying. So I think those are very good examples of like late stage querying agent trying to get agented goals. Like I wouldn't recommend those goals to like someone just starting out, but those are great up, senior level goals. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's taken me 3 years to like get to this point in like goals and writing that I feel like I can balance more things. But I could not have done that like 2 years ago. I think I would have burned out and freaked out and felt more of a failure. if I would have put on all this pressure on me. Now I can like thrive in it, but before I like could not have done that.
No, same. And honestly, I think some of that comes with age. Like we're older, wiser now, and we're like just better equipped.
And experience. It's not, it's just like the more you write, the more you learn about writing. Although every time you write a new book, it's like you know nothing, but you know something. It's great. Well, and speaking to specific ideas for goals for people, Lainey and I clearly have one, which is learn how to fast draft. And I'd say one way that might help with that is win NaNoWriMo. That's one way to try to learn how to do that. It's just to give people an example of a goal you can set.
And that's fast was I've done NaNoWriMo like freaking 10 times. So
yeah, I tried doing that in 2017 where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to finish this full draft in 1 month, but I got 60,000 words to it. So that's like pretty good. But like, I also got sick. Like I'm really bad with self-care and like, I'll own that. And I'm like, okay with that, but I will like drive myself into the floor trying to like beating myself kind of like, cause I was like, okay, I got to get more words. I got to get more words. But I think it's getting there basically, but it's like someone said in the comments about knowing yourself. That's kind of me. Like, I know I can get sick twice in November and just be fine, even though I'll kind of like regret it, but like, I won't be mad about it. So.
I actually think that brings up a good point. Another good goal to possibly have, if you're mid-stage or post-book deal stage, is self-care. I actually think self-care as a writer is something a lot of us ignore. So that can be a goal as well. That's worth setting, even if it means in that year or that span of time, you might do less of what you think of as like substantive writing or like finishing books, etc. But a really good self-care year can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and especially like in the beginning of your career, like there's so much other new stuff going on and so many other changes and other people getting involved in your goals and your dreams, and it can be overwhelming. So yeah, you don't want to burn out. It's like Alexa, you mentioned, I think in the last novelty show about how like 5 years after debut, like most authors are no longer publishing books because it's a rough industry, and if you don't take care of yourself, like you really can burn out and just be done with.
So why don't we focus a bit on, I think we've covered like, you know how to write a book and you're querying and trying to get an agent. Let's talk about some attainable SMART goals for people who have never finished a book but really want to. And so I'd say one thing I would recommend as a goal is relinquishing perfectionism. Because I think that's one of the number one things that stands in people's way as they're trying to finish a book. And yes, that is a goal you can set. It sounds really highfalutin, but I think that's a good example of one, meaning like the goal, and you break that down by saying, well, the goal is to write a chapter and not go back and edit it right away. Like that's an attainable goal. The goal can be to push past the first 20,000 words of a manuscript. You do that by fighting perfectionism, by the way. I think those are good things. And then another very concrete, achievable goal for a writer at any stage is leveling up craft. And maybe we can talk a bit about how we do that, like how we level up our craft when that's our goal. Well, I know you guys like craft books, so have fun.
I like one craft book.
I like lots of craft books and also craft related, like podcasts, author newsletters, author blogs, YouTube channels, like anything about craft I'm really into.
Well, have you guys ever like a year where you like set yourself a goal of reading X number of craft books? I have never done this.
I've never done that either.
You could. That's a goal.
Yeah, you could. That's a goal. Like make your way through a craft book, or like some of the books that I like. What is it? The Donald Mass books, like writing the breakout novel. At the end of each chapter, there's like a little like things you can do to work on your novel, like kind of not writing prompts, but like creative prompt kind of things, and you can like do those and like work those through your novel, like a worksheet kind of. If you want to set that goal. I've never done that myself. I just like reading the craft books and studying it in a more abstract, not like taking notes kind of way.
But I just think that would be such an interesting goal for a writer to set themselves. Like, I will read one craft book a month. That would be such an interesting year. If you're a writer who's not me, because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. Like, I have my one holy grail craft book. That's all I need to know about writing, which is Anatomy of Story.
I've tried reading it. It's fine. So dense. So
you know what? How is it that like you love movies too? So
I
that's
know.
why I gravitated towards it so much, because like I feel like I learned storytelling best through visual media versus books.
It's really good.
But
I just got stuck after. I'll go back to it. It's fine.
I guess there is like he does have like a lot of information, but
an overwhelming craft book.
Yeah.
Even for people who have like read other craft books and like been studying writing craft, which was my situation. Like, I'd already studied a bunch of writing craft books, and I picked up this one and was like, oh my God, what is happening?
Oh, I just thought of another idea for a potential goal for someone who's challenging themselves on craft. It would also be really interesting to have like a year where once a month you focus on a different craft topic to learn about, study, and level up in your own writing. I'm just spitballing here. I think that would be really interesting because that way you're not limited to craft books. It could be this month I'm going to work on white room syndrome, and you could watch AuthorTube videos. You could listen to podcasts all about the same subject. I'm just like spitballing here. Because I actually think that it's the hardest to set achievable writing goals before you've learned how to write a book, because you don't know what's achievable yet.
Yeah.
All you have are dreams. So I actually think that's the hardest time to, because I bet we all had this. Before we had written a book, our goal was to write a book multiple years in a row, and it just never happened. Because I did that for like 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to write a book this year. I did not. Another one is you could set a goal to attend 2 writers' conferences in calendar year. That's achievable. Expensive potentially, but achievable. Because those kinds of experiences can be really motivating. And they actually can also offer hard deadlines if you're going to do a pitch.
Yeah, like I know we talked about WriteOnCon in like I think our last video, but that I feel like everybody should probably do. It's like $5 for like the basic admission. It's online, and they have forms where I know some people were asking like how you can find critique partners and stuff, but they have forms where you can find critique partners, and it's really all inclusive. I feel like with what
I
you're
love
getting out of it.
WriteOnCon. Yeah, everyone should sign up. I'm doing a video session on why authors should join YouTube.
Yeah.
Preaching to the choir. I'm doing other stuff too. I did a podcast interview about all the writer feels. So not that you should sign up for WriteOnCon just for me, but I will be there. And the forums are amazing.
Mm-hmm. They're really helpful.
Yeah.
Even if you lurk, I lurked last year. I just lurked in the forums.
You were there. I was there too. No, I was one of their secret agents, but not an agent, secret commenter people where I gave feedback on queries. So,
No.
I think a big part of learning to set goals for yourself is also just like learning your own style and what works for you. Because like you'll see like people setting their NaNoWriMo goals of like 2,000 words a day. And for some people, that's just not feasible at all. Or if people have a day job and they're only working on weekends, like you can't necessarily write every single day. You have to learn like what works for your schedule, what works for you as a person. There's just a lot of experimenting with setting goals. Like don't be afraid to set goals and fail them and adjust your goals the next week. Like experimenting with different goals. For 1 week, I tried waking up early and doing like a 9 to 5 day job as if I was writing, like treating 9 to 5 writing as my job for a week to try that out.
I watched that video. It was great.
I didn't complete it. I failed, but I learned something important I can't wake up that early. Like,
well, because you just said wake up early, and I was like, no,
yeah.
no.
Like,
Of course, I have a day job, so I do wake up early.
you work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, same.
9:30 to 6. Thank you.
I did actually something like that too. On my I did like the 5 a.m. wake up challenge. So I woke up at 5 a.m. and then I feel like I would want to try that again because like I can't wake up at 5 a.m. like every day. Like I'm just barely rolling out of bed to get to work on time. But it was fun. It was like a fun challenge. And I think like that's what really helped with writing. Like I like fun and then I like a challenge too. So it was different. It totally switched up my week.
Yeah. And when you have that clear end date where it's like, I only have to wake up at 5 a.m. for 1 week. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point. When you set a goal, try not to be achieving that goal in a vacuum. Accountability is important. So like you signed up for a challenge. So it provided you with parameters. And I'm assuming other people were doing the challenge at the same time.
I don't know. I think I just did it because
it was just
I just
challenge.
did it.
It was like
Still, I mean, I
structure.
call it a challenge.
That's still a structure, something that you're following to achieve the goal. I think that's why NaNoWriMo is so helpful to so many writers because it's like you're surrounded by accountability buddies, basically. And same thing why we were talking about CPs. So I think ultimately when you're constructing goals, you have to think about what parameters are going to be in place to provide structure and accountability. Is it I'm doing my bullet journal and there's the structure and accountability of I had to create these beautiful pages, so I might as well do the work.
That definitely helps me. I'm like,
that helps you, and I want to cry.
Page.
It could be vlogging, like we mentioned, like the mere act of vlogging your revision or vlogging your draft. You're like, oh shoot, I have to do it. Like whatever it is that works for you to provide a structure, accountability, the deadlines really help. And then I think it's important to check in with yourself periodically. Because I think it's easy to set a goal at the beginning of the year and then just fall by the wayside. So like check in maybe quarterly with yourself on where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions? Are there any questions from the Twitter? Kat, do you want to check the Twitter and I'll check the chat?
I didn't see.
I see that Jesse wants to know why I don't like craft books. I can't even outline. You think I can handle like the pin down structure of a craft book?
Wait,
I don't
craft. You like craft.
I like writing craft. I just don't like people telling me what to do. I know I'm terrible. I don't like learning about grammar. I just know how to do it. I don't like explaining grammar. My craft videos about grammar are the worst because I'm like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. I don't want to talk about this, but people want to hear it. I don't know. I'm weird. I like structure in everything except for writing. I can't explain it.
That's what's so weird because you love planning and structure.
I love planning and I love outlining my videos. I just can't. Craft books hold me down, man.
The thing with craft books, like with me, I feel like they almost kind of sometimes overwhelm me because I'm thinking about them way too much while I'm actually writing. Because then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do this. I need to have like the ghost. I need to have like a pass. I need to have, the theme and everything else. And it's just like, it bogs down my creativity.
Me. Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm going to finish Anatomy of Story. But what I love about Anatomy of Story is that Lessons from the Screenplay pulls out his favorite parts from that book and delivers it to me in a visual audio format. So I actually think I'm an audio-visual learner is probably my problem with craft.
Yeah, craft videos.
And I have no problem with that. But I got to tell you, I had to teach myself how to teach. And I think there's still some topics where I'm not teaching well, but I had to learn how to do that. Because people love craft, and I'm like, oh darn, I have to talk about craft, don't I? Okay, but it's improved my craft. It has improved my craft. I've realized, oh shoot, you're not doing that. You should probably fix that. Whoops.
Yeah, it's hard.
I feel called out by myself.
It's like too many cooks in the kitchen while I'm writing. I can't. That's why I can only read craft books when I'm revising. I can't do it when I'm drafting, or else I get caught up and I'm not doing all this. It's not going to be perfect. It's so.
Oh God, like Save the Cat. I'm like, opening image. I don't have an opening image.
Yeah.
Don't get in my face, Save the Cat. I can't handle this. Okay, I can't. Oh, you know what we should talk about? To finish off, goals for YouTube. I think that's a whole topic we haven't even covered.
Oh, yeah, true.
Do we have goals for YouTube? Do we have recommendations for people setting goals for having a YouTube channel? I think that's a very interesting arena.
Yeah.
Kat, do you have goals?
Really set.
I have goals that I never accomplish, so I'm a bad person to throw to first. Like,
well, I think it's hard because like I feel like a lot of people with YouTube, their goals are subscriber increase, and
things are out of your control.
Yeah, you can't really control that. So like I never have like goals. I mean, I try to do like, oh, you should try to post 1 time a week, be more consistent, but I'm like really bad at that. So I feel like for me, it's like I have so many priorities. YouTube is one of them, but writing always is above YouTube for me. So I am going to be writing instead of filming and editing a video. So
that's that I did recently, where writing is now my priority. Like it used to, if I had a video to film, you know, I would wake up and take care of that first and like do the video first. And then by the end of the day, I'm too tired to write. So I've changed that lately. And that's why I didn't upload any videos in December at all, because I was focusing on writing. But I have found that my writing accountability vlogs also double as like a YouTube weekly goal posting. So like I committed for, you know, my 9 weeks of revision that I'm doing up until author mentor match. Like I'm going to be doing weekly revision vlogs during this time. So I do have a video going up tomorrow, and it's going to keep me on track to like have weekly videos every Monday. That is like taking care of my YouTube goal of a video a week, and also my writing goal, because I have the accountability of I need to be writing to make. So that helps me a ton.
Yeah, personally, I have goals for YouTube of just maintaining consistency. I'm shocked that I have this long, to be honest. I'm like, might as well keep going.
I'm like amazed at how you can juggle your job, your writing, and your YouTube. Like you post 3 times a week. I'm like, how?
All my friends live on the internet. I ignore the ones in real life unless they're writing friends and we're meeting to write. So I'm terrible. I do not talk to my mom enough. And I don't leave my apartment, which actually works. I love being at home. I don't know. I'm also very tired.
I will set aside like a weekend day to film if I do film, and I try to film more than 1 video, just so that like, well, then at least I have another 3 weeks of videos that I have. So, and like when I edit a video, I don't write that day, so it's like sacrifices
I fall into that as well. If I'm editing, like I'll have an editing day, like a Tuesday night, I'm not going to get writing done on that editing night. So it is a sacrifice. It is a balance. Victoria Reeds asks, does author 2 count as a part of your writing job? I consider it a part of my writing job for sure, because I did start it as a part of my platform, which sounds so calculated, but I do consider it a part of my job, especially because doing craft related videos actually helps me be a better writer. And often I'll do topics that excite me based around what I'm working on at the time. So doing a writing video does actually get me jazzed to write, or doing a video about promo or the industry when I'm in promo mode helps me do more marketing. So for me, it does feed.
Yeah,
it all feeds in.
It's like keeping you immersed in like the writing mood and a writing state of mind, and like thinking about writing. Like even if you're not actually writing, you're being productive, related to writing in a different way.
Yeah, which is another reason I'm a terrible friend, because all I'm capable of talking about anymore is writing in the publishing industry. Let me tell you, when you go out with your friends from college, they're like, who? What? Publishing did what? Why do I care? And I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to have other interests. Right. When I talk about Netflix. So. All right. I think we can wrap up.
I think so. We covered a lot.
Yeah.
Well, next show will be on Kat's channel. We haven't really decided what yet.
No, we don't.
We're just flying by the seat of our pants. It's great.
Yeah, but we do have an exciting announcement tease that maybe
on the next one.
On the next,
I'm not ready now.
So January 27th on my channel. Be there.
Or be square.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.